Hey friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at the TwoSun TS201. It's a nice harpoon style blade, G10 handle, 14C28N stainless steel, made by TwoSun and designed by Rattle. Don't know that designer. Before I get into it, if you're watching this in early August, it's August the 3rd as I record this. This morning, my tricycle broke. That's what I'm using to do the Great Cycle Challenge, to do fundraising for research into childhood cancers. It's the only bicycle I have, or it's not a bicycle, it's a tricycle that I have to do this challenge with, so I've got trouble. I'm looking for places that might be able to fix it. When I was a kid, I fixed a lot of bikes, and as a young adult too. This thing's got a problem that's a little bit more than what I can do. And so I'm looking for a place. You don't have to look for something for me. I'm just telling you what's going on. So for the meantime, I'll have to do the walking challenge for this Great Cycle Challenge. I'm sure that there is room for a little bit of walking in this fundraiser if someone's bicycle is busted. So, to the knife. It's one of TwoSun's budget knives. This thing is $44.99 at White Mountain Knives. That's where I got it. It's out of stock right now, but you can click the Notify Me button on the page that's for this. I've got a link down below for it. And then when he gets it back in stock, you'll be able to get one of these and save 10% at White Mountain Knives with coupon code CCE. So, without any further ado, let's bring this knife to the tabletop and take a good close look at it. Well, a closer look than this. Keep watching. Here it is. Let's start with the size comparison. Here is the Ontario Rat. The last time you saw it, it was a cream-colored handle. I got my daughter to dye it, and it's a nice forest green now. So the size comparison, it's very much the same kind of size as an Ontario Rat 1. In most ways. We've got a little more cutting edge, but in most ways it's about the same size as that. So it's a full-size folder without being super large, but it's plenty large enough, and my hands are within the extra large range. And there you go, something about the grip on it. I think it only comes in this blue. It's a fairly bright blue, something like a royal blue, but maybe a little bit lighter. And then it's got carbon fiber laminate on top, and then they've milled out these chevrons in here. We've got a full G10 backspacer, almost a full G10 backspacer with some jimping on it. Tiny little lanyard hole back here. It looks like an afterthought to me. I really wish they would have chamfered the edges on that. But, yeah, you've got a lanyard hole there if you'd like a lanyard. We've got their budget pocket clip. It's a deep carry pocket clip. It works fairly well. It's an okay pocket clip. It's nothing special. It's okay. Let's demonstrate it in use. It always wants to climb over. And sometimes it catches a little bit on those button screws, but usually it goes down to the full depth. And once it's in there, there you go. It's mostly hiding in the pocket. If you're familiar with TwoSun knives, especially their more budget knives, you've seen this pocket clip a number of times. We've got a nice blade, harpoon style blade. You can see the milling lines here, this satin lines from the grinding the main bevel, grinding this swedge up top, and we've got this little rise up here to this harpoon style. So the back of the blade here, that looks like it's been bead blasted, but everything else looks satin. Again, this little edge right here looks like it's probably been bead blasted too, so looks like they did a fair bit of work on this knife. We've got some blocky jimping here on the thumb rest area. We've got a little bit of belly, and that's a very slight recurve on there, but not a big enough recurve to be concerned about it. If you're sharpening knives and you don't like recurves, you probably will hardly notice any issue at all with sharpening this. A good sized sharpener's trowel, that's nice. The tip comes down to a very fine tip, but it's full width, well, almost its full width right here. We've got the rattlesnake logo right there, and right up here it says 14C28N, and on this side we just have TwoSun, and that's all the writing on this knife. The flipper, we've got, one of these straight up and down style flippers, and so it's best made for light switch method where you're pulling straight back, and that works just fine. You can push down on an angle and cause it to deploy that way as well. Really smooth ball bearings, so the blade wants to close. What some people call drop shutty. It's not extremely drop shutty, but it doesn't take much at all for it to want to close. No blade play side to side, up and down. The lockup here is very good. It's not too early, and it's got plenty of room to wear over. So, very good. We've got the TwoSun's typical D-shaped pivot pin. You use a T8 screwdriver right there to loosen it up. And the body screws are also T8, and they're the nice flush screws, heavy-duty hardware, heavy-duty button screws back here in the pocket clip. I really like TwoSun's budget hardware a lot. The lockup, to release the lockup, this liner lock, we've got some jimping on there and a swedge cut on the side. And there's a lot of room to access that lock release. So it's easy to get in there, and you're always getting it, no problem. With the left hand, it's pretty easy as well. So, comfort in hand. Yeah, it's pretty comfortable, especially in my left hand. I find it very comfortable. In my right hand, my index finger, because of how far back this is here, my index finger, just rests on this part, and it feels a little bit hot that side. But in the left hand, since the way the finger goes around anyway, it just is not that uncomfortable. I've often said liner locks, even though they're made for right-handed people, they actually are more comfortable for left-handers, at least for me as a left-hander. So, yeah, that's the general gist of the knife. Well, this might be an awkward transition. I forgot to do the video part of it taken apart. It was pretty easy to take apart. I was wrong. It's got a free spinning pivot pin, but it didn't give me any troubles at all. And unlike a lot of TwoSun knives, I did not have to continually tighten up the pivot pin during my testing on this knife. A lot of times on TwoSun knives, I have to end up tightening them up because they don't use any thread lock or anything, which I like that they don't use. So it's been very, very good. There's no skeletonizing on the liners. I guess a little bit of skeletonizing might help, but that would change the balance point. And yeah, good quality hardware, good quality screws, and I really like it. And the typical really good pivot on the blade, this section, it's even got a detent ramp, which they've been doing on their knives for quite a while. So construction-wise, it's made quite well. The 14C28N has been sharpened quite well, 100 bests from my sharpening test, which is very good. By the way, 14C28N usually has a Rockwell of around 5960, something like that, so it's a very good budget steel. It's one of my favorite budget steels. When it was initially made, about 10, 11 years ago when it first came out, it was considered at least a mid-grade steel, and now most people consider it a budget steel, but it's on the higher end of budget. The weight of the knife, 139 grams, 4.85 ounces. The cutting edge length, 93.2 millimeters, 3.67 inches. Blade length, tip to the closest spot on the handle, 94.4 millimeters, 3.72 inches. The blade thickness is 3.63 millimeters, 0.143 of an inch, so over an eighth of an inch. The blade depth is largest right here on this harpoon kind of transition spot, 28.4 millimeters, 1.12 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind right there, 0.4 millimeters, 16 thousandths of an inch. No wonder it slices that well. The grind angles, oh, I didn't average it out yet. On this side, it started at 19.3, 19.1, 18.5. And on this side, it started at 21.9, 18.6, 19.5. So it's not terrible. If I think of all the knives that I've reviewed in the last year or so, it's sharpened better than most. 14C28N, I'd probably sharpen this to 18 degrees per side. Handle length, 123.8 millimeters, that's 4.87 inches. The grip area in here, it's around 10 centimeters or 4 inches. The handle thickness is 13 millimeters, that's 0.512 of an inch, so just over half an inch thick. The handle depth, that's this measurement, the widest point is right there, 25.9 millimeters, 1.02 inches. The handle depth, when it's closed, going into your pocket, this side, this spot right here, 37.8 millimeters, 1.49 inches. And the total length of this knife, when it's open, 217.5 millimeters, 8.56 inches. So yeah, a little bit under 4 inches, a little bit around, closer to 5 inches, but a little bit less than 5 inches. So good proportions. Oh, the balance point, I didn't show you that before. It's right there. So that's very good. I mentioned the price earlier, 44.99 American dollars. Not bad at all. I didn't find it on AliExpress right now, or I didn't look on eBay. It might be there on eBay. Usually those prices are quite a bit more. If you take off 10%, that's $40.49 at White Mountain Knives. So that's a very good deal. That's around $51 Canadian in early August 2021. What are my thoughts on this thing? It's got a good weight to size ratio. Like I said, it's got a good balance. It's got a very good cutting edge. It's nice and thin. It's been ground fairly well. It's not too terribly hard to sharpen. And it's comfortable. It's not exceedingly comfortable, but it's fairly comfortable for cutting. And I do really like this harpoon kind of blade. That gives you a good spot for your thumb if you're really pushing hard through something. And it's, something I quite like. It's not a forward choil, but with how large this comes out here for the flipper, you can grab it there if you want to, as long as you're very careful not to get cut on the heel of the blade. Like I said, the lock release is just great. It's comfortable in a reverse grip and just about any other grip, a saber grip, hammer grip. It's just a all-around good knife. For its price, I really, really like it. The cons, I wish there was a left-hand pocket clip option for the lefties around. I wish the pocket clip was more than just one other, off-the-shelf pocket clips. And the lanyard hole, it just seems like an afterthought as well. For those of you who like lanyards, take some time to chamfer those edges before you put some paracord through there, because this carbon fiber is going to be sharp and it'll start tearing at your paracord if you're using a lanyard in there. Other than that, these edges here are nicely chamfered, so it doesn't get hot in the hand from that. It's not everybody's look, but I think it looks pretty good, and it's a good performer. If you're in the market for a knife this size at this price range, you might have to wait a little while. As I said, you click on that Notify Me link on White Mountain Knives, but once it's back in stock again, and it probably will be, no guarantees of course, it would be a good buy. That's what I'm calling this, a good buy. Thank you so much, my friends, for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye now.